Hi guys, so today I made this multiplayer scratch game on where this gun will shoot out bullets and your job is to get across the bullets, and if you touch the bullets you're going to lose and your score will also increase. Over here as you can see I got one, and now let's see what happens if we maneuver fast enough. Yes. Oh sorry. Yeah, I won. Hooray. So now let's see how I did this. So first let's go to the gun, and as you can see after some time the gun will start rotating. And how I made that rotations was that I went to events and get a, when green flag clicked, go to control, get a forever block. You can go to motion and turn as many times as I did, or you can just cut it down and do a repeat 3 times inside, and then you can rotate in here and just wait a second. I chose to turn it 20 degrees, and I'm just going to duplicate it below. I'm just going to duplicate it below to the other side. So instead of 20 degrees right, I'm going to turn it to 20 degrees left, like this. So now let's talk about the direction. When we start, you can see that the gun faces this side, which is 155 degrees. And now let me just take you through the background before anything. So the first one is going to be backdrop 1, which is a plain backdrop on where we're going to play. The second one will be the winning backdrop saying you won. You can do this by just like adding text over here. You won, like that. And then I did the same thing with another background called lose. You lost. Just like that. But then now we're going to use the back of the first backdrop. So let's talk about what happens. When the first backdrop is there, we're going to show the gun because it's going to start firing bullets right away. So we're going to show the gun. The next thing we're going to do, when backdrop switches to win or when it switches to lose, in either of these circumstances, it's going to, as you can see, it's going to hide. You can't see the gun anymore. Then now let's talk about the bullet before we come to this point of code. So first we're going to want to do one thing here. When backdrop switches to backdrop 1, we're going to delete this clone, because from the past game there's going to be a few bullets stuck here, because as you can see I'm just going to go here. Yep, you saw that the bullet was here and hit me and we're hiding it, but then still the bullet is going to be stuck here. So when flag clicked, you are going to delete this clone. You can find the delete clone button over here in control, and then you're going to go to events, get when backdrop switches to backdrop 1. This time you're going to go to looks and grab a show block and pop it down there, and then go back and keep a delete this clone. This is completely optional, but you need the show button, that's necessary, but the delete this clone is completely optional, but I kept it just as a backup so that if this code doesn't delete it, this might delete it. Then now on flag clicked hide, it's going to start shooting, but there's going to be a tiny pause before it comes out. So when flag clicked hide, then now we're going to clone the bullets in a gun, but then we're going to do this part first. So go to control, and you can see when I start as a clone over here. So grab that block and then go to looks and scroll down, and then you'll see the go forward 1 layer. Change the forward to backward and change the 1 to 99 layers. This will cause the bullet to like wrap up over here, layer on top of each other. And then in looks only, grab the show block and pop it in there, and then you're going to go to motion and take the go to random position and change it to gun. So you're going to go to the gun in this way, and then now you're going to point in direction 90. 90 in this case is a horizontal one because you don't want the bullet to be vertical and standing up. Then now you're going to go to motion, get a point in direction 90, and then go to sensing and scroll down to the backdrop hash of stage, pop it in the direction choosing tab, and then change the stage here to gun and change the X position to direction and then pop it in there. You're going to want to do this so that when the bullet comes out of the gun, it's going to look very realistic, like it's actually coming out of the gun. Then now you're going to make the bullet move 30 steps, which is going to be compulsory, and then you're going to repeat until it touches the edge. It's going to keep moving 15 steps, and once it reaches the edge, go to control, grab this delete clone, and then pop it right under there. Now we're done with the bullet, but then remember when I said we'd clone it? Now go to the gun. Why we're doing this in the gun? Because remember over here for the bullet we kept it go to gun, so now we're going to make it clone at the gun. So go to events and take a when green flag clicked block, go to control, take a forever block, and then scroll down. We'll find a create clone of myself, but change the myself to bullet, because if you create clone of yourself, it's going to be clone of the gun and it won't be good. So now afterwards scroll up and take a wait 1 second and change it to 0.5. I kept 0.5 to give it a small pause, but if you want to make your game harder, you can make it 0.3 or 0.2, and if you want to make your game easier, you can make it 1 second. Now let's move on to the player. This player here is going to be the player who will, like, play over here. And yes, so now let's see the code among this player. So first, before we do this, just go to variables and then make a variable called score. I'm not gonna select this because I already made it, but then make a variable called score for you and make it for all sprites and select OK. Now let's talk about the starting position before anything. Okay, so when we start, do you notice anything? Yes, we're gonna start right here in the center of the whole thing, but a little down. So the coordinates are x 0 and y -135. Of course, you can change your coordinates to be over here, the top of the screen, or over here, or anything. But I chose to keep it here, and it's completely up to you where you want to keep it, your starting position. After you're done, you're going to have a little like changing of score. So when backdrop switches to backdrop 1, which means this starting one, you're going to take a forever loop from control and then wait 2 seconds. I kept it 2 seconds here necessarily because remember in the gun when we cloned the bullet, we decided to keep a wait 0.5 seconds. So from the wait 0.5 seconds, if you divide it by 2, meaning per every 4 bullets that we dodge successfully, our score will increase by 1. And after that, I'm going to go to variables and I'm going to do change, and then I'm going to change this to score by 1, and then I'm going to pop it under the when backdrop switches. And now let's do a little switching. So when backdrop switches to win, you're going to stop all because you don't want any of these codes run. Same thing goes for when backdrop switches to lose. Any of these codes like the score here or the location coordinate, you don't want any of them to run because the backdrop has already switched to win and lose. So without further ado, let's move on to the next piece of code. And one of the main things over here is going to be our right arrow, left arrow, down arrow, and up arrow. So over here I don't really use WASD, but it's completely up to your choice on how you want to make your cat move. So for me, I chose the arrow keys. So go to motion, go to events and then do the when space key pressed, and you can change the space key to any alphabets, your up keys, or like any key pressed in general. So now after that, you're going to go to motion and then scroll down. You'll see a change x by 10 and a change y by 10. Grab those two blocks and then pop them under. Again, changing x is for the right arrows and left arrows, and changing y is for the up arrows and down arrows. If you want to go left or if you want to go down, you're going to make your variable negative variable. So in this case, left is going to be -10 and down is going to be -10, but X will be like the left arrow key and Y will be the down arrow key. So now let's move on to more of the codes. So one important thing, how do we make sure that, when I touch the bullet, I lose, or when I touch the gun, I win? Now, how do we do that? One simple way to do that is what I did here. Go to events and then grab a when green flag clicked block, and then grab a forever block in control, and then keep an if then block inside. Then go to sensing and you'll see this touching mouse pointer option, and then grab it and then change it to bullet, and then pop it in under the if then condition. And then for the inner part, you're going to go to looks, do the switch backdrop, and then change it to loose because we're touching the bullet. Then pop it in under there and done. As a demonstration, I have done here. When the bullet touches me, I lose. Now I have to do the same thing when we touch the gun. So now do the same thing, except instead of doing the touching bullet, change the bullet option to gun, and then also change the switch backdrop option from lose, change it to win. Nice. Let's test it out one time. As you can see here, I'm moving using the arrow keys and I'm trying really hard not to get hit by the gun. Of course, it matters on like how you're doing it. Oh, I lost. Okay, I have to be a little quicker this time. Nice. I sure did it. Yeah, I won. Nice. So now let's talk about how we're going to set our size. So I set my size to 75 because I think setting my size to 100 is going to be a little too much. And then if many players play, the screen will be a little unclear with such big characters. So I decided to set it to 75 to set it to like an equal balanced amount. And when flag clicked, you're going to grab this green flag, go to looks and then grab a show block and pop it under there. And then in that, you're going to get a set size to 100%. Grab that and put it under show, and then I'm going to change it to 75%, but it's completely optional for you to do anything. And then now let's do broadcasting message. So go to events and scroll down and grab a broadcast message and wait. This is important. Don't grab a broadcast one. You need the and wait option here. Just make an option called cloud setup. After you make a cloud setup, and then you're going to make it and then take it and pop it under the set size to 75%. And then now you're going to want to, when green flag clicked, switch backdrop to backdrop 1. You're going to do this because it should be the first background that appears whenever you click the green flag. And this is it for the game. I've told you about the game, and there's going to be more to it if you want to make it a multiplayer game. And if you want to make it a multiplayer game, then you're going to have to share a few values and everything. So this is it for today's video. For the next video, which is going to be part 2, I will share on how to do the cloud player broadcasting and everything. Thank you.